Got it.
All right, so my topic is, can your school search you? And this wasn't an issue until 1984 when New Jersey versus TLO was in session of happening. And before that, teachers and students had the same outcome, or not teachers, students. Teachers and parents had the same outcome of searching like a student, or the parents searching a child. It would be the same outcome. It'd be like if a parent searched their children and a teacher searched the same children, there'd be no difference if it was before 1984. But because New Jersey versus TLO, that changed, and this happened because two freshman students were smoking in the bathroom, and they came out smelling like smoke, and they were asked to go to the office because they smelled like smoke, and they had a designated smoking area, yet they still smoked in the bathroom for some reason. So that's why they were asked to go to the office. They go to the office, and what was asked was, did you smoke in the bathroom? They said, one of them said yes, the other one said no, and that was TLO that said no. So after that, TLO was asked again, and she still replied no, and they were suspicious about that. So they asked to see her bag, and she said no, but they took it anyhow and searched through it and found cigarettes. And after they found the cigarettes, they dug a little deeper and found marijuana, which is where this issue came into play, because she thought she had her rights violated because they dug deeper after finding what they were looking for. But the court said, no, this is perfectly fine because of the reason that, so because the court said that this was completely fine. The teacher had the right to, because he had reasonable suspicion. And reasonable suspicion is, for the bottom line, the base ground rule for when it comes to school searches. And if they can perform a pat down or even a strip search by reasonable suspicion, but it can't be excessively intrusive. For instance, in Safford Unified School District versus Reading, they strip searched a 13-year-old looking for ibuprofen. And that obviously wasn't okay, because the only reason they did it was because you weren't allowed to have like any kind of medical supplies in school unless you had some kind of doctorate kind of thing. And she was strip searched, and I believe she was in 8th grade. So she's relatively young, being strip searched, and she filed a lawsuit, and this was considered excessively intrusive. So you can't just, depending on the age too, depending on age and gender is when the excessively intrusive searches apply to. And now when it comes to lockers, states have different rules when it comes to locker searches, because some states have that it's your personal property, and the only way for them to search is if someone has reasonable suspicion. And then other states say that this is our property and we can search whenever we want. So that's for the lockers. And phones, they need a search warrant in order to look at it unless it's an emergency. And then the only exception for when things can be searched is when when there is danger to everyone around them. For instance, a gun, people or the officials can search and like the people that they are suspicious about, because the bottom line is reasonable suspicion. As long as it's not extremely intrusive, then that is completely fine. Okay, is there any questions? Someone's gotta have one. This is crazy.
Do you know if Ohio is one of the states that
I believe it is personal property, so they would need reasonable suspicion in order to check it.
Is that why they have to bring in like drug dogs and whatnot? Because my school had drug dogs.
Yeah, drug dogs are a little. They're not. They can just walk around, but they have to have. If they are alerted, if they alert the police officer, they're giving reasonable suspicion, so they can search the locker after that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry? It depends on the situation. For instance, in Safford versus Unified School District, they were given a tip that she had ibuprofen on her, and they strip searched her because of that. So it really just depends on the situation. If it's a gun, that's definitely a different situation.
Yeah, I would say it would probably be the degree of the tip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yep.
What? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm kind of something else to say. I don't know if this was at all included in your research, but what about like things that are on school property? Like if you have a car but you park it on school property, would that kind of be the same thing as like varied by state, like lockers? Like it's your property, or like since it's on Union?
I want to say that it most likely is going to be under your property, and they'd have to ask for consent unless there is danger to someone else or they are given a tip that could put someone in danger.
I thought they could just really like a locker or a car. So I know some high school, they just say the search dogs. They just start searching the car and call you down and stuff for it, and they would have to get consent that it was a school property.
Well, the dog would give them probable cause if it smelled something.
Well, the bottom line is like anything, like they can search anybody as long as it has reasonable suspicion. It doesn't have to be probable cause. It can only be probable cause if it's a phone for a probable cause to need a search warrant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a question?
Yeah, does it differ between private schools and public schools?
Thank you. Thank you. That was.
Ah.
I'm glad you asked that because I completely forgot about it because I almost ran out of time. But private schools are under a contractual thing. So depending on whatever they have, because the Fourth Amendment is completely set aside when it comes to private schools. So if whatever they have in their contract and is signed by the parent or whatever, that if they say that they can be searched randomly, then that's how it's going to be. Because they're not part of the state and they don't have to follow state
Okay.
laws.
I went to a private school and we had to sign a contract that they could search your car, your locker, your backpack, or your person like at any time. And if you didn't sign the contract, you come from school. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And you pay like hundreds of dollars.